Welcome in, guys. This one is going to be you got to end up taking safety measures and situation circumstances that are before us all. And yes, I understand that this one is going to be anybody above 18 and older can end up watching this. This one is about Christa Pike um, and what she did. I just thought I would be able to key it out. Like I said, take safety measures. There's a lot of questions and if what is true and what's not true. So Christa Pike is a she was born in West Virginia area, and moving forward, a lot of people are saying that because of her crime in 1996, January. Here we go. So Christa Pike, American murderer, so ended up killing a young girl in the U.S. and she was 20 years old. So Christa Pike was 18 years old. She had an abusive home. She went from family to grandparents to family all over the globe. Somehow ended up in Tennessee, and we're gonna go into By the time that they figured out how old she was, and again, this is Christa Pike, so it's another gruesome death. So the first time that she was committed, she was obviously arrested at 18 years old. She ended up boasting to the people that she was staying with. By the time that she was living on her own and went to Tennessee College, when she was in college, there was a lot of changes in her cycle because, like I said, you can go from a broken home every single day and still become somebody else. And deep inside, with the emotions of drug use and weed and everything, the night of the murder, it was all planned out. And she ends up shouting out to one of her, I would say, coworkers or friends, and said that she wanted to kill someone. Maybe she should just go out of her way and kill this person. What brought what people thought was just a gruesome. Maybe they'll never figure out who did this, and it was over 300 times that she ended up stabbing her neck and putting a satanic mark on her stomach, which ended up making this even worse. And with the abilities of her mind, there's too much that was going on in someone's mind. Her IQ is in between 120 and to 130. Yeah. So Christa Pike had, obviously, if you're going to college, you have an IQ of 120 or 130, depending on the year. Within a matter of 1996, here comes 25 years later. Here comes about over 30 years later. Oh, we're almost at that 30-year mark, and she's on death row. So because of that situation, the circumstances, and the paralyzing, that ended up going out of her way, taking out a piece of her skull, and knowing that this is a lot of serial killers or people that want to be murderers. Because there is a lot to approach here, her IQ could have even been less. With her mental capacity and the fellow part, there are a lot of people that say, well, maybe this happened or maybe that happened. But if you look deeper into the context, on, let's see, it was January 14th, 1995, 29 years later, they still haven't ended up killing her. They're figuring out maybe there's more to the story than people want to end up caving in. The other girl, don't know her name at the moment, which is So let's see. Well, let's just go into it. I don't really know the girl's name, but as you start figuring out that there is a lot of people that are like, well, maybe this is the exact date. So by the time that she became, it was already obviously we're already over the 30-year mark here in January, which is just a little over 3 weeks away from when this all started. It would be a 30-year anniversary. The first time she ended up coming up with this knowledge, she was at Job Corps, and with Job Corps, you actually are figuring out how to figure out a job, like how to figure out, is this going to help me? Is this the situation? Is this the circumstances? Is this something that I can end up letting go of? Right? Her with her being on death row, there's a lot of things since 1995. The other girl was 20 years old, and she ended up, obviously, like I said, she pieced out with all this stuff, satanic stuff, whatever witchcraft. They had books in her room, and there was exactly 4 people involved. Only 3 of them ended up going back in after the killing. It took 45 minutes to torture this person. That is name. Tadary shop. After 25 years, they're going to end up obviously taking this to a bigger state, with this girl being 17 years old or even older. Um, she thought maybe, hey, this might be the chance to make her success and maybe make a little bit of fame out of all this. But because she's been in jail for almost over 30 years, it has gotten to a point where her birthday, it's gotten to the point where there's a lot of questions. And people are like, well, maybe you shouldn't be doing this. But because of the circumstances and because she admits to showing everything, and as she gets on the ground and shows how this was with the victim and with her situation and circumstances, they're just trying to piece out, is this real? And so January 13th, they end up coming up. So this happened on January 12th is when this came up. And for some exact reason, she was attempting to do stuff. With her being able to speak in court, which is sometimes not, it shouldn't be able to do that. But a lot of people are willing to say, you know what, maybe it's time for me to step up and not have to sue this. Maybe it's time to, after 25 years of having Christa clean up her mind, clean up the witchcraft stuff that was coming up. And like I said, when you fall from home to home, and like I said, this is a tortured kid. Her mother was, I got to remember, well, this whole family has been kind of ripped apart and shreds. With her using drugs and doing this stuff before Christa was born in 1978, 1976, puts her at 48 years old of this year. Her birthday is in 1976 is when she was born, so that is 48 years ago, and it was March. You gotta remember March 10th of 76. She was 46 years old, so she's just a little over 34 years older than me, but that's just part of life. And with her family being so like ripped apart and shredded and not being able to comprehend everything, she's still trying to reach out to the courts or the judge to make sure that this is it. Like, she's trying to not be on death row. She's trying to live her life. She's just trying to know that she's done something wrong and she's willing to change. But a lot of people in Tennessee are taking stuff to a whole new level. They're saying that because people are going out and murdering people or going out and bricking people, which with rocks, you're bouncing and you're bashing someone's head into the ground, and then having a trophy piece out of her head, just her family is depressed. They're worried and concerned, and there's just too much at stake, right? Her mother ended up having her when she was there's a lot of people, there's a lot of family members that end up in prison if you end up going through this. So with okay, so this whole family is screwed up, and a lot of people have already passed away and done a lot of wrong, right? There was a situation with the brothers, the sisters, the cousins, and stuff that are going to put them behind closed doors, not knowing if this was correct or if it was false. Brothers and sisters and cousins that were so what did they do? What were they willing to do, right? I mean, when you grow up in an abusive home and you grow up and you think that this is funny, and then you start laughing about it, and then you start making comments that maybe it's best to keep making these comments, and you keep going, then it's going to be an ongoing battle, right? There's only so much that a father or a son or a grandparent can do for their sons, grandparents, or so on from there before it gets out of hand, right? With her laughing about this and then doing drugs before, taking this girl out into the woods 45 minutes away, whatever, from where they were in this little, what I call a group home, was more like a work schedule. And after the 25-year mark, they're wondering, is she ever going to come to her senses? Is she ever going to realize she's done something wrong? And if she admits to something, does that automatically mean that people are going to go out of their way? Not necessarily, but there is a lot, right? The girl's name is Tardary Ship, SHPIPP, right? After this person ends up getting died, she goes out of her way and boasts about it to somebody that's at Job Corps. And Job Corps is somewhere where you can escape reality, right? You can go to Job Corps, you can get out of the prison system, you can get out of the mental hospital, you can do a lot of this stuff, but there's only so much people can say, right? After 29 years, she is still alive and nothing changes. But if you did the math, that by the time that they even get to an order, she's going to be in her mid 60s and she will forget about life. But she's been stuck in this mindset of trying to escape prison, to escape the jail, to be the only woman on death row in Tennessee is very difficult, right? But there's been more difficult situations than just saying, you know what, I bashed this lady's in, I did this, and I'm sorry for what I did. And she's not feeling any guilt or shame. And by the time that she gets into the courtyard after a year, they're still trying to figure out, is she going to die? Right? A lot of judges or a lot of people in the audience, right, and are going to go out of their way and say, she did this, so we need to attempt to do this. But if all I've done is broken my life, then what do I do? With her being arrested at 18 years old, they're presenting her as an adult. 20 years later, by the time the 25-year on gets out, she'll be 53 years old by the time that she gets out. 54 years old, 53, in that range. But even if they let her go and said, you know what, we're going to end up giving her a chance to clean up her life and not to go out of her way to try to strangle the guards or to strangle any of the inmates that are living life terms or serving life terms because of their murders or because of their situations? Does it give someone a right to go on for hours and hours about the same thing over and over? No. It gives anybody the right. The circumstances that she's facing are, what is the purpose? What is the purpose? She can't even have an interview and say, you know what, maybe I have done this wrong. She's willing to admit that she's done something wrong. She's not willing to come out of the closet and say, this is it. This is what I feel. But with her family giving birth at 15 or 16 years old, give or guess, right? This is on a college campus. When a murder happens like on TV and you're like, oh, I'll just watch 48 hours, whatever. When you watch this TV show, you're clueless in mind. You're taking all the information that, okay, a lot of people don't know what's going on with this person, this main person. What is their state of mind? Do they have to be on drugs? Do they have to be on marijuana? Do they have to have drinking problems? The psychology of the doctor said that she's being treated like an animal, and being treated like an animal is going to make a lot of people be like, wait, being treated like an animal. You're in a prison cell for 23 hours. You only get 1 hour and you're in another room. You're in a prison cell that's 6 by 18, 6 by 7 inches across. And all you can do is end up wondering, are you going to make it out? They're never going to come up with an answer to my knowledge because of how much I've seen this person. I've watched this circumstances. I've watched the movies, the videos, the whatever. And it's not saying that she's not guilty. It just means they need to end up presenting with the courts a little bit more information before they just stamp on. She's in the courtroom crying her eyes out and nobody sees that she has the mental illness. People don't say that she's insane, but she has a personal disorder, right? Which means that she thinks about one thing and then she consumes on it. And once she consumes on it, with there being exactly 3 people that were engaging on this conversation and this situation and death of a very young lady that had a future, her family is still trying to get closure. Nobody's going to get closure if people are going to just bark out. Every single year, it seems like somebody's going to go insane, right? If you watch people on the news, if you watch this from the beginning, you'll be like, wait, is this really a person that deserves to be treated like a dog? No. But see, the judge is going to end up being there. The judge says this. All they have to do is say guilty or not guilty. They don't have to throw in the death penalty for somebody that doesn't even know what this is. But this person, Christa, is so flickering in her head that there's something that's running through her head. She doesn't want to die, but people are willing to go out of their way and say, you know what, maybe this is it. But doing so much research on this exact person, Christa is still wondering and playing the guessing game. Is this the day? Is this the year? And here it is almost 30 years later, and not a single thing happened. Not a single thing has went on since her first times of struggling, right? She's not going out of her way and say, you know what, maybe I do need the death penalty, right? Being on death row means you're going to die eventually. And if you're not going to die in the chair, you're going to die in prison or jail or the hospital, depending on the people. But see, having test results from her, it's like, you know, what are people's problem? People are going to say this or that about. And there's nothing she can do about it. There's not a single thing that people can do about having this name. The only thing that people can do is go out of their way and say this is the exact situation that happened 15 plus years ago. And within the matter of 13 to 15 years, there's going to be another serial killer. There's going to be more of them. There's going to be a whole bunch of these people. And now they're saying that she's a demon and she's possessed by all this stuff. And it's one thing to take it to the courts and say that she's done this and then just that's it. It's another thing to go out of her way and to act like nothing happened. Leaving a smile on her face is guaranteed that somebody is doing wrong. But how do you know? Right? People are going to take advantage of the innocent, which is coming soon. The mother ended up growing up in Texas, and then she ended up coming to West Virginia, right? Then she went to West Virginia and somehow ends up in Tennessee on a criminal charge, knowing that this is the one. Like, is there a reason why she's still living time? Is there still a reason why they're treating her like an animal? Because they think possessing people are going to end up being fine, right? You go out of your way and say, you know what, Christa Hansen in Texas had 7 years of probation after ended up giving birth to her. And so she, with her being traumatized by this, she goes in there and she makes her case just like any other person, just like a human being, and she's human. But if her mother is reacting to this, if her mother even knows about this, if her mother's even still alive, depending on what people say about her, what is going on? Then you're going to get to a point where it's too hard. It's too hard to separate her mother, to separate her 55-year-old mother that is no longer either with us or not with us. Is it safe to know that there is going to be, her mother is 72 years old, December 51st, so this would have been the grandparents by the time that, so yeah, she would have been, 16, 19, 44 years old, 19 March of 98, 1980. There's a lot of history here. And the more research that you go into, the more that you say, you know what, maybe it's time to let go of things, and knowing that even if people are on the death sentence, they can change their mind, they can change their habits, they can change the circumstances. But if there's going to be a reason why this is all going on, then maybe something comes up. Hi. So, the conclusions, the conclusions to all this is it right for somebody else should I go out of my way and end up doing this? No, I should not go out of my way and hurt someone. Should I go and end up reaching out to them? Maybe I could send them a letter and see if there's something that can change in their mind. Maybe there's people that have prayed for her. Maybe there's priests that have prayed for her. Maybe there is a certain symptom that she has, and she's not crowded. She's not crowded. A lot of people are like, why are you talking about certain things? Why are you watching this TV show? Why are you watching this insane person? Because people don't realize that people are going to be wrong. All I wanted to do was figure out, is this right? Did Christa really do this under the influence of a demonic spirit? Did she do this under Satan's power? Did she do this with an intent to end up killing again? I'm going to say that's a maybe because I don't know the full story sometimes. But people are like, hey, this is it. This is the one. This is the final test. Right? When someone uses drugs, they're going to go insane. It's just a matter of how long it's going to kick in. It may take 24 hours to kick in. It may take 48 hours. But I know that she's either guilty or she's not guilty. But sending her on death row is like, okay, 30 years later, nothing. Not a single body part changes in her. She is scared and nervous and worried about everything. And all this judge can do is traumatize her, is scare her, is getting to the point where this is it. But if I'm going out of my way to hurt someone, then okay. But if they don't deserve it, then why do I go after the innocent? Why should Christa go after her? Because Christa is not the only one that is in charge of here, right? She had two friends that were in the middle of this. They were in a relationship. There was a lot of jealousiness. There was one that was trying to hurt the other. Because you have jealousiness and you have these friends, the friend that was judging her and that went out of her way and watched this and maybe videotaped it, who knows? There was a lot of things that go on ever since the early 90s. But because of her friend, it has traumatized her. It has gotten to a point where she is so scared of it every single day. She's waking up, she's giving her handcuffs up, whatever, and then going to the showers, going up and going outside. 23 hours in a cell. And you're wondering what the fun is going on here. Funny buttons are going to be fine. But if you're going out of your way to hurt someone and they do not deserve it and they're the innocent one and they're still not getting justice or they're still not getting like consideration that maybe this was a mental illness, maybe this was a 2 personality disorder. A lot of people have that. A lot of people have bipolar. A lot of people say this is the person that has this symptom. See, a doctor, it can only prescribe so many medicines. And if she would have been on medicine before this, that could have ended up causing her to react. I know that I'm ready. I'm ready to do something. But if I send her a letter and she reads it and then sends me a back, whatever, and it comes to the address, how do I know that she's not being able to see her mail? How do I know that there is a reason to live? How do I know that, okay, people's life every single day are being threatened in certain ways? Just look at the East. People are getting murdered in the Ukraines just for being in the military. Just because Satan wants to stir up a bunch of garbage. Just because Satan is in these prison guards thinking that, okay, if I strangle this person and maybe if I release, nothing will happen. Putting me back in my cage is not going to treat me. If I treat someone with precaution and safety measures and saying, yes, I'm outside, I'm waiting for you, I'm doing all I can to be here for you. But if her intention was to murder this person, then that must be a motive that Satan had to end up being taken over. Right? I don't know who believes in Satan, but Satan is everywhere. He's ballistic. He says one thing, he does another thing. He's like Two-Face. Right? You look at the Joker, you end up looking at all these people and you wonder, how did that Joker from the 2008 movie, why did they die? Why did he have to kill his life? Why did he have to take his life? Because the Joker is just part of life. The Joker doesn't know what's right and wrong. The Joker knows I'm playing this movie, so I better just end my life. And that's exactly what happened. He ends his life in 2008. 2009, right after the movie ended. He just ends it. Whether it was pills or knives or weapons, something had to be a motive, right? You could say, yeah, 1,000 times I've done something right and still I've messed up. Yeah, you could say, yeah, if you smoke a joint, you're going to end up making it. But a joint is another substance, right? You use certain substances, it's going to end up reacting. Maybe she was watching a bunch of scary movies or murder shows to end up getting to this part. But something flustered inside of her heart to get ready and said, this is on. She went out of her way and killed this person. And I can't say for sure if she did it with drugs or under that. And by the looks of it, she was under some kind of weed or substance of meth. And when you do this so long, you get to the point where you feel empty. Maybe she feels so 100% empty that maybe she is a believer, but she believes in something else. And if she believes in the supernatural to come and pick her up, that means even if she's out in the streets, is she going to get her life on track, right? 25 years is about to be released. But see, even at that point, she's in her 50s. That's almost her whole life. More than half of her life is over just because of one little crime. And because of the circumstances, I know that this is going to be fine. And perfect timing, I'm not the only one that has to do this. So because you do this, because you say, yes, I'm ready to go, does not mean that you have a motive to kill someone. The motive has to be a sinful act. A sinful act is coming out and saying that I murdered this person because of this situation. I got jealous because of this. These people were dating me. They tortured me. They ended up putting me in a cave. They put me in a cave. They end up going out of their way and thinking that this is funny. But the only thing that people can say is take safety measures every single day. When I take narcotics, right? When I take pills or drugs, or alcohol, I'm a different person. I'm the nicest person you'll ever know on drugs, especially. But when it comes to alcohol, I turn into an ass. I turn into somebody that I don't want to end up doing. Oh, he did this, so he's guilty. She's only guilty by the state of law, and the law says that there has to be a motive to it. And until they come up with the knowledge of saying why, this person is 46 years old. By the time that you end up becoming this, you should be knowledgeable and knowing everything. You should know the life challenges. You should know that if this pill bottle doesn't work, to go back to this one. And if you're not sleeping right, maybe it's because of the narcotics that you use. If you're wondering why you're rambling on about things, it's because there's a circumstance. It's because there's a motive. It's because you want to end up having this person be hurt. Just because of jealousy, people end up getting hurt every single day. Just watch Jeffrey Dahmer, right? When you watch Jeffrey Dahmer, the TV show and the movie on Netflix, and you wonder the motives, when you watch the military brothers, the two brothers that killed their mother, and you're wondering, is this going on? All I want to do is be happy. Okay, so because of what Christa did, does she deserve to be in prison for the rest of her life, or does she deserve to be on meth? Drugs. She's probably been on drugs ever since day one. So because Christa did this, she's now 46 years old, 48 years old, March 10th. And, being on death row, it's hard to do this. So take care of everybody. And we hope to end up hearing more about this Christa stuff. Leave your comments below the screen. And yes, if you guys are new here, we're talking about all sorts of different things. This one just stood out to me the most. And I wanted to make sure that there has to be a reason why people do this. It's because of our sin nature, and our sin nature is going to eventually take over, and that's when we're going to get in so much trouble with the law or without the law. We get in trouble by our family just because we use, and then they call the police, and then we're in the mental hospital, and we wonder why we're in prison, and we wonder why we go to the point of killing someone. Everybody have a great day and take care of yourself. Stay tuned, and we'll have some more videos coming up. And if you guys don't know, Merry Christmas to you guys and Happy New Year. We will have another video maybe tomorrow. And we're going to try to get this motive out. And we're going to try to get different people's stories out and projections of what we should talk about next. God bless everybody and take care of you guys. Have a great day and a great night wherever you're at.